History is often shaped not only by wars that are fought, but also by the decisions made before those wars end. Few events illustrate this better than the first India-Pakistan conflict over Jammu and Kashmir in 1947-48. Even today, many historians, military experts and political commentators continue to debate whether one decision taken during that conflict altered India's strategic future for generations. Imagine an India that shared a direct land border with Afghanistan, an India that controlled towering mountains of Gilgit, Baltistan, possessed some of the world's most strategic mountain passes, and had uninterrupted access towards Central Asia. Imagine if the breathtaking landscapes around K2, enormous hydropower potential, valuable mineral resources, and vital trade routes were all under Indian administration. Many believe that this could have transformed India's geopolitical influence, economic opportunities, and national security. Critics argue that this opportunity was lost during the first India-Pakistan war. After the ruler of Jammu and Kashmir signed the instrument of accession to India, Indian forces were airlifted into the valley and successfully pushed back the invading tribal forces and Pakistani-supported fighters. According to many military historians, the Indian army had gradually gained the upper hand and was continuing to recapture territory. However, before the entire princely state could be brought under Indian control, Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru decided to approach the United Nations to resolve the conflict diplomatically. A ceasefire came into effect on 1st January 1949, freezing the positions of both armies. As a result, roughly one-third of former princely state remained under Pakistan's administration, what we know today as the Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. For Nehru's critics, this remains one of the greatest strategic mistakes in independent India's history. They argue that if the military operations had continued for little longer, India might have recovered the entire territory. Instead, they believe the ceasefire permanently divided the region and created a dispute that continues to influence South Asian geopolitics more than 7 decades later. The consequences, according to this viewpoint, extend far beyond Kashmir itself. Pakistan later transferred the Saksham Valley to China through a boundary agreement in 1963. Decades later, the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor was constructed through Gilgit-Baltistan, strengthening the strategic partnership between China and Pakistan in territory claimed by India. Critics argue that had India retained control over the entire region, this development would likely have been impossible, fundamentally changing the strategic balance in Asia. Supporters of this perspective also point to the economic opportunities that may have been lost. India could have enjoyed direct road connectivity to Afghanistan and the energy-rich nations of Central Asia. The region's immense tourism potential, hydroelectric capacity, and natural resources might have become valuable contributors to India's economy. Control over key mountain passes would have enhanced India's strategic depth while reducing the geographical advantages currently enjoyed by its adversaries. Many also argue that retaining the entire territory would have strengthened India's national security. They believe border management would have been more favorable from a strategic standpoint. Infiltration route could have been reduced, and India would have possessed greater control over one of the most sensitive regions in the Himalayas. Although governing such a vast and mountainous region would have presented significant logistical challenges, critics maintain that the long-term strategic benefits would have far outweighed those difficulties. Supporters of Nehru, however, strongly disagree with this criticism. They argue that India in 1947 was a newly independent nation struggling with the trauma of partition, massive refugee movements, communal violence, and enormous task of reorganizing its armed forces. They contend that prolonging the war carried serious military and diplomatic risks, and that seeking international intervention was a responsible attempt to prevent a wider conflict while reinforcing India's commitment to international law. Because history cannot be replayed, no one can say with certainty what would have happened had military operations continued. India may have regained the entire territory, or the conflict might have escalated into a larger and more destructive one. That uncertainty is why historians continue to debate Nehru's decision to this day. Yet one fact remains undeniable. The decision taken during 1947-48 continued to shape India's strategic environment even today.